Welcome to the show. I'm Danella. Here's what's happening now. A big hello to my new subscribers. I'm highlighting you in just a bit. Happening this week, another major food recall in literally my favorite grocery store. Many stores are affected. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And political pop is loaded and ready to go. And this week, Trump is saying, I can't take it anymore. Sessions, help me. That's what it sounds like to me. That's coming up. But first, how about we start this show with some good news? I call it great news. Shout out to LeBron James. He's received a lot of press this week about his extraordinary new school, the I Promise School, the first of its kind in our country, and we pray more schools to follow. So he teamed up with the public school system in his hometown, Akron, Ohio. And here's what the school promises: to focus on accelerated learning, provides job placement assistance for parents, has on-site food bank. Okay, this is a place that parents can come and actually receive food for their families. The school also promises to support students with stress from economic causes. Emotional support, this is amazing, gives every student a bike to escape the dangerous parts of town and explore. Wow, each student gets a bike and a helmet, and guarantees free college tuition to every student so that they can attend the University of Akron if they choose to. This will start in 2021. The school will serve low-risk income and at-risk students in LeBron's hometown. The hope is that this school could help inspire change in Eastern Ohio City, and I say in the rest of America. This is amazing. Some of its features are longer school days, a non-traditional school year, and more access to the school, its facilities, and teachers during downtime for students. The school literally offers so much. I could go on and on. I'm sure many of you have read up on this as well. I mean, amazing. Kudos to LeBron James. Easily, you can just make money and just focus on yourself. But for him to give back in this way, and in a way that will inspire change for lifetimes, years and years and years to come. And to think that others may see this model and say, okay, well, I have resources. Let me put those resources back in my community, similar to LeBron. Amazing. And I love how this school, the aim of it is to focus on the entire community. So not just the students there. I think right now they're servicing ages third graders and fourth graders, and they're hoping to open it up to all elementary school students later. But for them to focus just not on the students, but also the parents in this way, because the parents need help as well. So yeah, I had to definitely kick off this week's podcast by giving LeBron his props, the school system in Akron as well, for participating, the I Promise nonprofit, just every single person that's involved. Thank you. Our community thanks you. And I cannot wait to see what results from all of the hard work and effort that has been put into the I Promise school. LeBron and everyone that was involved had this passion and this dream and this desire to facilitate change, and they're doing that. And we need more hope in this world, especially dealing with the government that governs this world. That's going to lead us to political pop. Here is your political pop for August the 3rd. This week, Trump feeling the heat, and not just record heat in our country, but the heat, literally calling out to Attorney General Jeff Sessions to stop the Russia investigation. Here's what he said. He said, "This is a terrible situation, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions should stop this rigged witch hunt right now before it continues to stain our country any further. Yeah, I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone that he wants it to end. Trump says it's a witch hunt, but it doesn't really feel like a witch hunt, especially with Paul Manafort's trial and the dirt that's gonna come out with Trump's former lawyer, fix-it man, Michael Cohen. Stuff is coming out already. No surprise. He wants it all to end. I'm Danella, and that was your Political Pop. Also this week, a federal judge put a temporary hold on a Texas company plan to release blueprints to print out a gun using your 3D printer. Okay, so I put it in Political Pop on Wednesday, and I wanted to just talk a bit more about it. First of all, I knew about the 3D printers. I knew about it, but I guess because I'm not in the class of owning one, I don't have one. I didn't fully understand that you could literally take a blueprint and print out a usable gun. And so the governor of Texas originally halted it, and then that company was taking it up with the Trump administration. So now a federal judge is like, all right, let's just hold up on this. Hold up. We have to review. Because obviously folks are getting mad, right? Because, yeah, you don't want anybody just being able to print out a usable gun in their house. What if this person wasn't legally able to obtain a gun? Now they can just print it out. This is the world that we live in. But it really shocked me. Did you know about this? I'm just curious because my subscribers are woke. You guys know what's up. I had no idea you could just, physically be capable of printing out a usable gun, and that there's a company that wants to release the blueprint for that. Wow. Also shocking to me is a food recall from one of my favorite grocery stores. Yeah, the FDA warning folks to avoid salads and wraps because of parasites. Oh, this is disgusting. And even from one of my favorite stores, and that is Trader Joe's. I was like, oh, I can't believe they're on the list. But yeah, Trader Joe's, Kroger, even Walgreens. Okay, first of all, I didn't know people were really buying food at Walgreens, but they are. So they say avoid salads and wraps. And so at first I'm freaking out. I'm like, is this like the whole romaine lettuce thing? I mean, because it was really ruining my salads for a while. Right. But no, they're saying these looks like prepackaged on the list. So you want to avoid prepackaged salads and wraps. So for me, I'm like, I'm in the clear because I build my own salads. And remember, I put this on the podcast before. This was a previous show where I talked about an expert on foodborne illnesses, and he was saying foods that he avoids. And remember, he said he avoided salads in restaurants over sushi in restaurants. And I remember reading that like, whoa, wow. But his reasoning is he's like, there's so many vegetables that are touching one another and you don't know where they come from. And that heightens the chance for you to get sick. That's also why you have to watch out for pre-packaged foods like salads and now wraps. So heads up, they say people are getting sick. And what I missed, again, because I don't eat at McDonald's, I totally missed that McDonald's also had a situation with their salads where folks were getting sick. It started back in May. So, man, have to be cautious about these salads. All it takes is one outbreak on one farm. You can, of course, go online and get the complete list. But if you're just kind of like, all right, what do I need to watch out now? It looks like prepackaged salads as well as wraps. I swear it's like you can only eat air. It's just not filling. Just not filling. And now it's time for In Our World. In Our World this week, Trump administration says it doesn't exist. It's not real, but it is real. It's happening literally right now. And let's talk about how it's affecting our world this week. That is climate change. First, we'll start with wildfires. We're talking devastation in California, And in Greece, taking lives as well as destroying homes and property. And I know that homes and property would be the least concern. Life is the first value. But we're just seeing folks say that, yeah, wildfires happen in our world, but it's becoming worse with the climate. Drought making it so that when you have a wildfire, everything becomes inflamed quicker than ever before. And they're saying this week, Death Valley is on track to record the hottest month ever recorded in history. They're actually saying that July in Death Valley had the hottest days recorded in history. For the entire month, they said they were averaging about 108 in the day and night. And you caught this story about the polar bear, where a cruise ship company went to scout the land. This was near the North Pole, but in between Norway and Norway's mainland and the North Pole. Well, anyway, a cruise ship was cruising, and apparently they have polar bear watchmen, if you will, watch people. And so they were scouting the land before the tourists come on board. And apparently they didn't see one of the polar bears. And so this polar bear attacked one of a man that was sent to scout for polar bears. And so they said that they had to kill the polar bear. And so that company received a lot of backlash on social media, just saying, obviously, we're the humans, we're invading his backyard, but somehow he dies, right? But here's what experts are saying. Because of climate change, there's a lot less sea ice, which means polar bears now have to spend more time on land. And that will increase the chance of a polar bear encountering a human. And I want to bring this up because obviously, my natural thought, you know me, is to say, how dare you go to his house and start shooting him up like that? I mean, come on. How dare you do that? But in defense of that company, so far within 20 years of that cruise line, only two polar bears have been killed. So at least, no, we can say no polar bears should die, but two, that's at least you can see that they're really trying their best not to, harm polar bears. Because they said that they gave that polar bear a warning shot, but that the polar bear didn't leave and that they had no choice. And so the reason why I really wanted to bring this up in our world this week, I'm trying to figure it all out myself, just how to grow with the world that's changing, how to grow with it and not harm it. Past shows I've talked about in our family, how can we reduce waste? How can we be more helpful to Mother Earth? Because, hey, cats got to live here. We got to breathe this. And so when I see these stories, it's like, first of all, we have to go outside of our government, obviously, to become informed and educated, because right now the Trump administration is doing everything it can to ignore climate change and to not do anything to really help reduce our carbon emissions. These things are major. And so it's really up to us during this process to take responsibility for ourselves when we can, because the earth is changing. We're seeing it happen. And so each of us has to be aware of it, because before we, our natural human self, before all of this, electricity and all of the things that we love, technology, before all that, we were one in nature. And I'll never forget something I'd heard from a travel guide. This was during my visit to Chichen Itza. This is in Mexico, visiting the Mayan ruins. And one of the things that he had said was that there were still Mayan people that still live in Mexico, because, we're all like, are there people there, still there? And he said, yes, there's still Mayan communities that are there. We'll visit one. And he said, it's interesting because during one of our last tornadoes. No. Interesting, during one of our last hurricanes, the government came to send people to the village to warn them. And then he said, well, you know what they found when they arrived? And he said, no one was there. And we were like, what? This is on our long bus ride from Cancun, Party City, to the Mayan ruins. But anyway, we're all like shocked, like, what? They weren't there? And he said, yeah, they sought higher ground. They sought shelter. They knew that they had to leave where they were because of the hurricane. And he said, this is how they know, is because they are connected to nature. When you are connected to nature, you can tell what's about to happen. And so during our tour, we exit off the bus and he said, okay, look on the ground. He said, we're going to have to make this a fast tour because the rain is coming. And I can tell because I can see, I'm looking at the ants. And so, I'm like, wait, what? I can tell the rain is going to come at some point because it's cloudy outside. But he's like, no, it's going to come fast. But, at one point, he's telling us, I'm going to wrap it up right before the rain comes so we can make it back to our bus in time. So we're going along our tour. And then he stops us and he says, okay, look at this, look down. The rain is about to come right now because you can see the ants are scurrying back into this anthill. They know. So we don't have much time. We have to get back to the bus now. Going to wrap up our pictures. Come on, let's go. And we start hurrying towards our bus. Do you know, we made it to our bus right before the rain came, and we watched all the other tourists now scattering because of this huge storm that was coming. And I remember this was many years ago. And I was just like, wow, because for us, I remember growing up, our natural weather was to open up the door, stick your hand out, and you're like, it's going to be a hot one, but I've never really been able to really say, okay, this storm is coming right now, or this is what it means. And that's because my natural ability, I'm sure, is blocked by technology. And that was one of the things that he was saying. He was saying that this particular village that we were going to visit, there was one television there. And they were very communal. They would watch it together, watch whatever shows they would want. But that at that time, they really weren't into technology in the same way that we are in it. Very interesting. So obviously, I'm not saying, I don't know if I can go that hard. I definitely, when we have storms and lose electricity and I break out the candles, I only want that to go on for a few minutes. I'm definitely let's get a generator and run that type person in general. Until that generator kicks off, we are the go-to a hotel where they have electricity type family. That's where I come from. and I know that that's just not sustainable. And so, there's always this internal struggle that I have with living on Earth and not destroying Earth. How do you do that? So more in an upcoming show, but this wraps up in our world. The reason why I put this kind of information out there, one is not only to share it for those who are unaware, but also I know some of you guys are already on it. And so I really appreciate just your comments and any tips that you have, or even just talking about the struggle that you have as well, on how to live in this world and not destroy this world. So as always, you can email me, email Danella at DanellaNOW.com, and also on social media at DanellaNOW. And a big hello to my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. So a big thank you to Spicy Ashley 1234. I'll see you. Thank you for your subscription. Also, Coco Cokie says, you deserve more subscribers. Thank you. I appreciate that. Please share with your friends. It's a small group of us. So anybody you think, that's down with us, let them know. I appreciate that. And Diane Abdella, thank you so much for your comment. She was writing in reference to last week's show about LGBTP, where the pedophiles wanted to put the P on the movement. It's ridiculous. And she says, it will never be acceptable that other letters should fight the P off their space. It is not the same. There is no consent. I totally agree with you. Thank you for your comment. And just before we wrap things up, an update on last week's mommy moment. So it's all about the breakout of the crib, right? So we decided after my son was flipping in his crib. This is a terrible story, but anyway, he literally had teeth marks on his tongue. Like blood was coming out. It was really scary. So that's when I was like, that's it. This weekend, Dad, my nephew Daryl, you guys convert this crib down to a bed. So that's what we did. And can I tell you that I was like sad. I feel so cheesy. I'm telling you, being a mom made me soft. Maybe I was always soft and mushy inside, but I felt like I had a tougher, like, exterior and interior, but like, was feeling some things. And so he was, we converted the bed and we're like, okay, here's your bed. And literally it was very clear that he was ready for the bed and we were not ready for the bed because he said, I love my new bed. It's so cozy. And I'm literally like, wow, that's a good use of the word cozy. And, he hasn't, since he's been in the bed, he hasn't tried to get out since. He hasn't done any more headstands and he hasn't stacked up any of his toys in there and all of the books, none of that behavior. It's all over. Like he was literally ready for this. We explained to him, you have a big boy bed now, no standing in it. It's like mommy and daddy's bed. You wait, you let us know when you're ready when you wake up. We told him all the rules and I swear I'm so blessed. He's been super obedient and it really let me see that the problem was us. We were the problem. He wasn't the problem, And I'm calling him like a wild animal, but I guess I'm just a slow parent. I had no idea. Yeah, he was super ready. So that's my mommy moment update, man. It's that being a mommy makes you soft, son. If you're not really trying to be soft, you got to rethink being a mom. I'm just saying. I've seen it. It happened to a lot of my friends before me. I'm talking hard friends. The next thing you know, I guess it's like naturally what's supposed to happen. But like when it's happening to you, it can feel like a crisis, like internally. Like, who took my thug? It was in me. I know. It's out. And in the car. That's where I really, as I got older, I would express my thug more in the car, in the sense of, driving and you put on, your ratchet trap music, your hood music, whatever, and you driving and you getting out your aggression. And I like driving fast for many years. Engines that help you go fast. But then once you're a mom, you can't really, you could do it, but then, it's like you're bad, right? So you can't do that. So now when I drive, it's a medley of sometimes What Did the Fox Say? Classics like that. Also classic hits like Jingle Bells, and it's not Christmas. But, it's whatever, because I have a music critic in the back. I don't like it. I want La Vaca Lola. That's my son. Yeah. So, officially, that wraps up the show. As always, thank you so much for joining. I hope you have an incredible weekend, and I'll see you next week.